few lives that I did. So we are currently live. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. So we are about to do a fireside chat. I'm calling it Pints and Pixels, just because if you are chilling here, it's 9 o'clock in Ohio. You probably have a frosty beer, a nice glass of wine. We just want to hang out and talk about an amazing project that my friend Paul has put together. So I want to go back, jump in my time machine about 3, maybe 4. It might have even been longer than that. I drove all the way to Chicago because I was so into Sony and there was going to be an artisan there. And I went out there with my friend Ryan, and that's when I met Paul. I went to his talk and we hit it off, and we've been friends since. We've done some podcast stuff together. We've just kind of stayed in touch. And then last week I was on the phone with him and we ended up talking for like, what was it, like an hour?
Yeah.
It was like about an hour long, and it was like, I missed it because we just talk about the entire industry, and Paul has such a unique view from just what he's done in his career, a career that has, I mean, just look him up. It speaks for itself, starting in photojournalism, portraits, wedding, moved the family into the Midwest, and then here for the project that we're talking about. So Paul, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
This is my 35th plus year being a full-time photographer. Nice. So I've seen a few things come and go, from film to early digital capture scanning to the first digital camera that I used in '97. So digital has come a long way, and photography has as well. And like TJ said, I was a news photographer for almost 20 years, first 19 for the Chicago Tribune in Chicago and then DC, and then I moved to Phoenix for 12 years. Yeah. Met my wife at a wedding. We got married a year later, and then we decided to move to California to start a wedding and portrait business. And I had just felt like it was time to leave journalism, and it was time to do something that was kind of in the vein of photojournalism, but still a little bit different. So that's what we did. And we were very happy there for about 16 and a half years. And then the call of the Midwest was strong, and we decided to relocate our kids, and part of it was to be close to family. And ironically, we're about a half mile from my sister where we live now, and about 3 miles from my niece and her 2 kids. And those are my niece and her husband and their 2 kids are the impetus for this project.
Nice.
And
so tell us about this project. I was talking a little bit earlier, like on my live streams that I was doing earlier, what is the project? So I'll go ahead and pull it up on screen here so we can see it. But this is on your website right now. I'm just kind of going through just on the main part of your website, and it's called Portraits in the Time of Corona. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I had been wanting to try to make sense of this crazy time, and I didn't know what we could do. As a portrait and a social event photographer, my business was gone. Yeah. And people weren't booking me for portraits. Weddings in April. I have a wedding in April that's been already rescheduled to 2021. I've got a June wedding. I don't have a lot of weddings on the books, which in some ways might be to my advantage now, because I'm not stressing as much and trying to rebook, and then realizing that if I rebook a wedding that postponed from this year to next year, that minimizes the number of days that one can book in 2021. So it's kind of like a double hit for a lot of busy wedding photographers, which in a way, fortunately, I'm not right now. And so I've been doing mostly portraits for the last 15 years. So I'm used to having nothing on the books for a long time. And then all of a sudden things happen because I've generated a promotion that's gotten people in front of my cameras. So having gone through the recession of 2008 and 9 in California, where it was at ground zero, and seeing, 10% of the homes in our 100 home subdivision short sailed, I've seen a lot of things that aren't a lot of fun to go through, as well as the .com crash, 9/11, and the 1987 crash of the market, which actually may have been scarier, in some ways.
I was just going to say, so how does this compare? I was born in '89. After that, how does this pandemic, how is this different? How is it the same?
for me anyway, it's different because it's so unknown. I mean, like within a week or so after 9/11, I was on a plane flying. So it's not like it crippled us for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, even more, maybe, who knows? So that's the thing, is the hardest part about this is the unknown. But the thing that I have just tried to do is focus on what can I do now in the moment that's positive and moves us forward within the bounds of the safe distancing and things like that. But also, you know, if somebody doesn't do a photo project like this, that's fine. I mean, I'm not encouraging people to do it. I'm not discouraging people to do it. But the thing of it is they still need to, I think people still need to find some creative outlet. But it could be documenting your family. It could be documenting landscape. It could be documenting the spaces that are empty. I don't know. There's always something to create. And I'm always trying to find something beautiful in something that adds a little understanding in all of this chaos.
Right. And I feel like these images that, you know, they're flashing on the screen, and you posted some more on your Facebook as well. I feel like there's just such a power to these images. And I would attribute that to both your photojournalism, you know, the right time and the right place, but also, you know, your portrait skills and your wedding skills. I feel like they've all come together to culminate into this project, and they're just super powerful. Like, I just can't, I can sit here and watch this over and over again. Are there images? I know these people's images and, you know, they're, you know, part of this project, but are there other images that are available? Are you still working through them?
I'm actually trying to catch up on the post-production. I've got so many in the backlog. I'm doing 10 or 12, done 10 or 12 a day, you know?
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. These are, and you know, like the thing is I've got 100 people scheduled, and in my portrait projects in the past, 100 portraits in a year would be a great year. Right. Not just a great 10-day period. So it's
nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy. And the only way that we could have absolutely done it was scheduling software through our, we use Squarespace. So I'm sorry, it was Squarespace scheduling that did it for us, that really helped us out. And I mean, it's been a real godsend. And so all of those things, like the journalism training, where I was talking to a friend of mine today, and excuse me, I was telling him about flying down to Hurricane Gloria in 1986 before you were born.
Yes.
And I was on the same plane out of DC with John Ficarra from Newsweek magazine. And so we drove down from Charlotte down to, I think it was Wilmington. And we were the only ones, it seemed, going down into the water, into the ocean, and everybody else was coming the other way. And it was just so indicative and such a symbol of kind of the way photojournalists do things, is we're going in when others are getting out.
Right.
And I've done other hurricanes as well. And so I've kind of been around some of these things where it's kind of tense and kind of a lot of energy and a lot of stuff happening. And it's something that I don't want to do it anymore. That's one reason why I left newspapers, but I think those skills kind of always stay with you. But the other thing is the portraits that I've done hundreds of portraits for a charity book project over the last 9 years when we were in California. And that means we had to photograph like I probably photographed 700 kids. And so doing all those portraits, you get very good at knowing what works and what works fast. And then you couple it with the limitations that you've got from this self-imposed project. For me, it's staying back within the current CDC social distancing norms and the subjects as well. So we honor that, but also knowing that I'm shooting everything pretty much with the 70 to 200 and then not lighting it at all, because these are quick. So that's forcing me to be very quick on my feet when I get to situations where the light might not be as great. It might be a little bit harsh. It might be a little bit front directional. So working within those parameters has given me some incredible skills, I think, that were only made, that were only building on what I had done before. So all of that stuff is, from a technical standpoint, is things that I'll take forward with me.
Nice. And so let's start at the beginning of this project. So what made you think to photograph people like through, like, where did the original idea come from?
Well, I'm not the only one who's had this idea. It's come to multiple people in multiple ways. There's a couple of women in Boston that were starting it right around the same time, and we were just doing it independent of each other. I didn't know they were doing it. I'm sure they didn't know I was doing my project too. And it literally came to me as I was driving around my little town. It's about 5,000 people, and it's got these beautiful homes. Some are Victorians, and there's just like this incredible architecture. And being in the Midwest, it made me think of American Gothic and that great photo, or painting rather, of the farmer in front of the home from Iowa by Grant Woods, I'm sorry. And then I thought about the novel Love in the Time of Cholera, and I just thought it was such a lyrical title. Now, my wife, it's one of her favorite books. I admit I own it, but I've never read it. But I just thought that the title just spoke to this thing that we're in now. And then when I saw my niece's little girls, so my grandnieces, last Wednesday, or about 10 days ago now, I saw them, and it reminded me of the Travolta movie Boy in the Bubble from the 80s, I think it was. So it was all those three little separate kind of things that all kind of funneled together to kind of create this notion of this project that's became Portraits in the Time of Corona.
Oops, sorry. I can't tell if I'm muted. No, we're good. So you said, so where does like gear, let's jump into some of the more technical aspects of these photos. So, obviously you have to stay a little bit further back. What gear, you said the 70 to 200, what other technical considerations are you taking into account when you're shooting like through windows? And, what is somebody, if they want to, if they're inspired by this project, what are some things that they have to kind of watch out for? And what are some of the technical things that go through your head as you're making these portraits?
Again, I just want to stress that it's not something I want to encourage or discourage, but I think people have to make that call for themselves, given where they live and the parameters that are set for them. I shot, the first thing, the thing at the top priority is the safety and health of my clients, my subjects. And I want to stay healthy too, because I don't want to bring anything home to my kids and my wife. And so we're all respecting the CDC's social distancing norms currently. And so that's a really important thing to do. But from the technical side, it's 70 to 200 A7R4, a 135, 1.8 for the individual portrait sometimes, or when it gets pretty dark. And then sometimes a 24 to 70 when I'm trying to show the people in the scale of their homes. Like if I want to kind of show a grand vista of their home with them under the porch or something like that. So those are kind of the parameters that I've set. I will bring a little 3-foot step ladder with me. Occasionally it comes in handy to get up a little higher to keep the perspective flat, but they're very simple. The hardest thing for me is to kind of keep it down in terms of the shooting, the number of photos, because I can literally, when I was doing 10 a day, I could do 64 gigs in a day of A7R4 files. So you got to be really, the backlog is just immense in terms of like how much post-production is going to be required. But I think in the end, it'll be worth it. Did I lose you, TJ?
Oh, you there? Sorry,
I'm here. Yep.
Okay. Yep. I lost you on. I could do 6. I could do 60 a day or 6 a day.
I was doing about 12, up to 12 a day, and that would be about 64 gigs of space. So card space. So that adds up when you've got 100 sessions scheduled. So
right. So now, how many more do you still have to do? I mean, how far are you booked out for this?
Well, we've stopped booking. So we've stopped doing bookings, and we've put a wait list together so that if the time is right, then we'll hopefully do some more of these down the road. So it's just turned into something that I never would have expected. It's become, to me, a truly life-changing experience because of the people that I've met and what it means for them. I mean, when people see you and say, oh, thank goodness, I feel almost like Santa Claus, bringing a little bit of joy, because it gave them something to do to break up the monotony of being stuck at home and not being able to do anything and see their friends and live the life that they're used to living. So one dad said to me, and he was one of the first sessions of the morning, and he said, oh, I'm so glad you're here. It gave us a reason to get showered and dressed. And I've joked with the dads that it's like, this is the dad's favorite portrait session. It's done in 10 minutes and they don't have to necessarily dress up.
Right. They can stay there and they don't even have to go out for it.
I know. It's just like a piece of cake for them. And, like the ironic thing though, TJ, is that I feel like some of these portraits are some of the best portraits I've ever made, without a doubt.
And like I said, looking at them, I mean, just on Facebook, like when you posted that first one, I was like, oh, okay. And then you posted more and more, and I'm like, holy crap, like it's true visual storytelling. Like you can look at this photo, especially if you know the background of what we're going through right now, and you can know that, there was a picture of, I want to say it was like a grandma maybe, and her younger son, or maybe it was like a mom and just her son with like the teddy bear. That one. And it was just so emotional, to know that, they're sticking together through thick and thin. They're just, the images are so super powerful. And I love a lot of your work. So I don't know if these are your best, but they are pretty damn good. I can tell you that. They're just so powerful. They pull at me. I've been telling people, like, since I first saw them, hey, like, you got to go check these out. You got to go check these out. And now I see, did it even go to Petapixel? Did I see that?
Yeah, Petapixel did a piece on it. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. So I guess if you are in the audience, definitely head over to Petapixel and check out. There's a couple more images there and talks a little bit about the project. But yeah, so another reason that I wanted to get you on is to kind of foreshadow and introduce you a little bit to Pixel Photo Fest, which, who knows, this might go into the summer. We might have to move that. But I did want to let people know we're currently working on getting Paul. We got the, we're pulling him as hard as we can to get him into Ohio to be one of our presenters for the Pixel Photo Fest as well. So Paul is I wanted him to be a familiar face for you guys. Like I said, he's a tremendous, tremendous photographer and just a wealth of knowledge. So where's a good place to find you online if people want to follow the project? If they just want to follow you, like what's the best place to follow you?
Probably the best place is Instagram at Paul Gero, which I see you're running on a scroll there.
Yeah.
And so, but to be honest with you, I haven't been updating so much. I've just been trying to catch up on the backlog. That it's just, it's one of those things that to me takes precedence. Is I want to get these photos done for my subjects so that they have them, so that they can print them if they want. That's the thing. This is a gift to them. They are getting the photos in exchange for them allowing me to photograph and then share the photos. So it's helping all of us in this process. But it makes me feel like I'm doing something productive and something that's going to help people remember this time. And I actually think that it might help people realize how important family portraiture is in this time, because family portraiture is something that people want to do and often don't have a reason to do. And this has given people a sense of urgency like nothing I've ever seen. A wedding, you set the date a year in advance, and, unless there's some global pandemic, you're going to have a wedding in a year. And the thing is about portraits is people say, we'll push it off till next year when finances are better, or I just don't want to do it now, and I don't feel good about myself. And this has really made people think, oh, this has got to happen now, because this is only happening now. And the reality is, this is all we got, one day at a time. We aren't promised the next days. We don't know. And it's one of the reasons why I try not to stress and worry, even though it's very easy to do that in this time. And I know many of my friends and colleagues are, and I'm just trying to not worry and try to be a face of confidence and courage for my kids, so that they see this is how we kind of work when life throws us a little bit of a curveball. And I just think that worry is something that I can't kind of fall into, because worry is an emotion that saps creative strength and positive thinking and forward thinking. And so I'm trying to stay as positive as possible and not worry, and just try to create something of beauty in a time of sheer panic and fear for many, many of us. and chaos on so many levels.
It is. And I was talking on a podcast earlier this week, this isn't something that we can go back to any training or education that we've had. I think to like the business classes I've taken in college, there wasn't a section on pandemics and your business. So I could see how people are freaking out. Unemployment numbers are through the roof. There's all this negativity, but if you can put yourself into a project like this one, it is super, super important. That's why we've been doing the live streams every single day, is to try to get people to remember, hey, you have this hobby that's really, really fun and it's a creative escape. Instead of binge watching Netflix and, like you said, being sapped into that hole of worry, get out there and photograph. If, again, at a safe distance, get to your, local park, just take your camera on a walk with you. My live stream yesterday was 5 things you can shoot inside your home. So,
right.
Go back and watch that and find some inspiration just to get, I hate it when people just get so sucked into what I call FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. At this point, there are things you can do about it, but the best thing for you to do is, like Paul's doing, be that person of confidence, work on your business. If you have a photography business, take a class. I mean, there's tons of free classes out there. There's tons of paid classes now that are discounted. PPA put all their stuff out there for free. Occupy that time, because we are going to get through this. There is no doubt. We are going to push through, and, we're going to come back, at least for me, the way I look at it, as stronger than ever. I think this is a huge opportunity for personal growth, business growth. And this is a time where you shouldn't just be, like you said, be sucked into that worry. Don't do it. So thank you so much, Paul. We're welcome. Coming up on about 20-25 minutes. Is there any other parting things that you wanted to say? And I wanted to open it up to see if there was any questions from YouTube or any of the Facebook groups that we're currently streaming to. But what are some of your parting thoughts?
I would say, if this project is something you don't want to do, that's fine. But leave a camera out, have a card in it, have the battery charged, put a 35 millimeter or a 50 millimeter lens, and document your daily goings on, and try to share them and put them into a time capsule for your family. For me, I have kids, and I haven't photographed them as much as I normally would, because I'm out and about and working on this project. So I need to do that. But this thing is just kind of taken over my life. And now with the post-production facing me, I feel like I've got to get this done. So, but once I'm through that hurdle, then I'm going to start documenting more about what they're doing, and especially as they get more and more into their schooling, because they're going to be doing online schooling starting next Monday. So that might be an interesting thing to document as well. But absolutely, I just feel like they're as tragic as this is, and believe me, it is a world tragedy what's happening to people in business and in personal lives, and people that are affected and indirectly affected. But I want to try to find something good and find a silver lining in a very dark cloud. And that's what I encourage photographers to do in their own way, however it might be, because we will get through this. Like you say, we are a strong country and we're a strong world, and we've got technology and we've got incredible brain power working on this. What I'm seeing from the public and private partnerships of people sewing masks, and companies switching on a dime to creating hand sanitizers like Mary Kay is going to be doing, things like that are just blowing my mind at the resiliency of the human spirit and the way that people come together and the way that they rally. And I feel like this is a part of that, in my own simple way, to kind of honor that work that they're doing by showcasing the people that are affected by this and create something for them that will give them lasting value.
I love it. And I'm actually sitting here thinking, I can't wait till you can, meet these families and photograph them, like not in their from like a true family session. Like it'll be cool for you to actually like have those real conversations and interactions with them. I feel like you've now bonded with them at such a crucial time. I think it's awesome. This project all around is awesome.
The biggest gift is just the fact that I've gotten to meet these people, and we've become friends as a part of it. Some people I knew, some people I didn't, and it's just been amazing that way.
That's awesome. It looks like we do have one question. Do you prefer to post-process on color or black and white? That is from our friend Jim Summers.
Hey, Jim, that's a great question. And
oops,
I don't have an idea of what it's going to be, if it's going to be black and white or color, until I actually see the image itself and see if it lends itself to black and white. Like, for example, there's the little girls on the window, on the porch, through the windows. When I was photographing, it was in color, but it had a very monochromatic feel. And I thought for sure that's a black and white. But then when they were next in the doorway that had the grid, you know, kind of like the tic-tac-toe grid, I thought there's no way I can have that be black and white because it's purple. And you can see that photo on the Petapixel site if you find it. But there's some photos to me that speak to black and white, and they usually have a serious look to them. They have not I don't like photos that look mad. I want people to look strong, and I want them to look strong and confident. And this is serious. And I think that there's a distinction between a serious and strong look as opposed to a mad look. And when I talk to people about the look that they're giving me, they ask me, well, what should we be? And I said, well, you can be what you want. But I also try to photograph them smiling. So at least there's a photo of them smiling that if they do want to put that smiling photo on the wall, they're more than welcome to.
Right.
It may not end up in the book, but it might, because that's a part of this as well. People are their family life is bringing them joy in a way that they may not have expected, because they are spending time and sitting down and having more family meals together. Dad might be at home more because he's working from home, or mom might be working from home if she was working out and about a lot. So everybody can now get together in a way that wasn't possible. And that's, if anything, that might be something good to take from this and maybe carry on to the other side of COVID-19.
Awesome. And so the book that you're creating a book of all these images. Is this similar to like your portraits? And I think you do one for the Friday Night Lights too, or was that just a video?
I did. It was it was a book, and it was the portrait books were the kids of Orange County in California, and they were all. That was a very small run. I probably do something with Blurb on these, because Dan Milner is a great friend of mine, and Dan is the evangelist from Blurb. And if you want to have a great guest, he would be a good one to have, especially in this time. And Dan is a sharp guy, and he's a creator. He's a creator at heart. And I love what he's doing with Blurb, and I love to support that company, because I think they really support creators.
Awesome. We'll check that out. And then we'll do our best to promote it, once it is ready, as well, to promote it out there and share these images, because I think it's definitely documenting a piece of history that is super, super important and will be in the history books for sure.
I think
we have another question coming in from Caitlin Owens. How did you get the word out you wanted to photograph families? Obviously, people were receptive to the idea, but did you get any pushback from people worried about spreading the virus as well?
None of the people that have participated. They have been very, very open to it. They respect the 15-day. They understand the rules of social distancing. The people who don't want to do it, they don't sign up, and that's okay. Right. And the way that we found people to do this is posting on Facebook, and we have a local community site that people who live in town frequent, and so they can go on, see that, and then go to a page I created. This is one of the other things, and it's not like to be an ad for Squarespace, but I got to tell you, if you want to be able to rip up a website in 30 minutes, it's a great way to do it. And that's pretty much what I did. I unhooked all my wedding and portrait stuff temporarily, and basically created a site that had a landing page and a slideshow landing page that was about the project. I don't know. I could have done. I was
going to say, you recently did it, because I just went to the site, I think today or yesterday, and I pulled it up, and I was like, hey, this isn't his normal site. Like, where's his other stuff? It was like, boom.
Yeah, I did
focused on that.
I did it in 30 days, or 30 minutes rather, not 30 days. But I mean, I'm sure you can do it with other things too, but Squarespace is super easy, super simple to do it. And then they have their scheduling software called Squarespace Scheduling. That's a part of it. There's a 14-day free trial with it. And I just signed up for the free trial and just started scheduling that way, because having done portrait projects before, I know what it is with the back and forth with emails and calls. And it's like, it is a scheduling nightmare. And my wife was the one who would do most of the scheduling. So I thought the only way we can keep our sanity is to do it online. And that's what we did. And that way people could self-select if they wanted to do it. They know what we're doing in terms of the parameters of the project, in terms of our social distancing ideas, and they respect that, and they respect what we're doing. As I've had some people sign up and then cancel for I don't know what reason, but that's totally their prerogative, and I totally understand it. And hopefully we'll be able to photograph them when things are better. But I'm just been amazed at the way people have taken to this project and are just so excited to be a part of it, and so glad to have this record of this time.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. And that wraps up all of our questions. I know you've had a busy day. I'm like falling asleep over here. I had a long run in today and a couple live streams. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure this won't be the last time that you and I talk, whether this medium podcast or I can't wait in person. So thank you, Paul, so much for joining us. And I will post a link to the Petapixel article as well as Paul's site in the comments for these. Yes, sir.
Alpha Universe did something too, so if you could post that in there too. So gotta get Sony in there too.
Absolutely, I will do that. And if I didn't mention it before, Paul is a Sony artisan as well, and he's been on that team for quite a while. So that again proves he knows what he's doing. This guy knows. This guy knows. Thank you, Paul, so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. Stay safe out there and have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.